Ladies and gentlemen, here we are again at the Sweet Remedy Cafe for episode 19 of the B Graders. Matt, coming up to that race, the race that defines the sport, so it seems.
It's
Tour de France.
Biggest month of the year coming up, starting this weekend. Tour de France.
Tour de
So
France.
there should be sometime in the press this week of the non-cycling newspapers, there should be some drug scandal to pop out of nowhere.
Absolutely, someone's going to get done for something, and it's going to dwarf the results.
Dwarf the first weekend of the tour like it does every year.
You know, we just get used to that. And you know, when we have Tour de France this year, every stage in English from start to finish, either streaming or live on telly. So Cycling Central,
Which basically means none of us are going to see a finish of a tour stage this year, because if you're going to watch the stage of the Tour de France from the start to the absolute finish, you'll be asleep by 100k. So just keep that in mind. Set the alarm if you want to see the finish now from home.
Absolutely, because Still Knox for me is not as strong as a cycling stage of the Tour de France, or any race actually, because we are basically put to sleep late at night.
They are. Now, we had the European National Championships over the weekend. Just a few shout outs. Arnaud Demar won in France, Oliver Naessens won Belgium, Roman Sinkeldam,
I don't know who he is.
Won the Dutch Championship.
Fabio Aru won in Italy.
Won in Italy and dedicated it to his fallen comrade. It was an absolute great weekend for Stephen Cummings, who was a bit touch and go, the Dimension Data rider, who was not possibly going to ride the Tour de France, but he came out at the National Championships and did something that has only been done recently by David Miller. He won the time trial and the road race on the Isle of Man, and well done to Stephen Cummings.
So you will see him riding on the back of the bunch at the Tour till he decides to attack and go on a break.
Till he decides to win and go and win a stage like he always does.
Doesn't ride in a bunch, he rides off the front or on the back.
And of course, just a shout out to our Orica Scott team, our girls team that we always like to promote. Annemiek van Vleuten won the Dutch Time Trial Championship, and one of my favourite riders who rides for Wiggle, Jolene Dora, won the Belgian Road Race National Championship, so well done to her, World Madison champion and one of the best girls on the circuit. But let's have a bit of a chit chat about the teams. We've seen the teams be announced for the Tour de France.
I'm so stoked for our Aussie team. We've got three Aussies.
3 Australians in the Aussie team. So
riding for a Pom and riding for a Colombian.
Get to start.
Riding
for an
Pom
Englishman
and a Colombian.
Pom. It's a Pom, is it?
Pom and a Colombian.
Okay. But we're a little bit better than Team Sky, that great British team.
There's not an Englishman in it.
Not an Englishman in it. It's 2 Welshmen and a Kenyan, and then 6 Euros.
And we say that our friend who's won the Tour 3 times is a Kenyan because he rode the Commonwealth Games for Kenya.
And you know us.
But it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise if you have a look at the English cricket team, full of South Africans.
Yeah, Kevin Peterson, the greatest Englishman to ever play the game.
Alan Lamb, great,
Tony Gregg, another great Englishman. Well done.
I'm telling you, I play for England.
Now, the Tour de France has got a big interest from Australia this year. Richie Porte, can he or can't he win the Tour? Riding for BMC on a BMC, the same as Cadell.
Wearing a Tag Heuer watch.
That's not Australian.
That's Swiss. It's a Swiss team. Anyhow, I think he can. Will he? I don't know. He's gonna.
Will he? No one can answer
well,
that.
he was strong at the Dauphiné.
He's been the man on form this year.
He has. He's going to have a stronger team with Damiano Caruso coming into the team for the Tour, given that Caruso finished second at the Tour of Swiss. And if anything, at the Dauphiné that let him down a little bit on the last day was his team left him a touch isolated.
That is going to be the problem, because one thing Sky is going to the Tour with, all jokes aside, it is going to the Tour with one of the strongest climbing teams they have had ever, and they have always been the strongest climbing team.
They're so strong, they left Wout Powell's out.
That's right. Now, Wout Powell's, now, if anyone was going to win the Tour de France after Chris Froome from Sky, I always think Wout Powell's is, so maybe there's something going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Maybe Wout was quite happy to go for himself if the legs were good in the Tour, but he's not going to find out this year because he's not going to be there. And my smoky for the Tour de France this year, we talked about the big teams, but Fabio Aru, and of course he's got his teammate
Jakob Fuglsang. He won the Dauphiné.
You said it. He did win the Dauphiné, didn't he? He went away on the last stage
and won by 14 seconds.
He won by 14 seconds, and Sky are going to set the tempo, and Movistar.
Oh, and they're a strong team as well. Movistar.
Okay, they've got that Colombian bloke who...
The one who looks sour and unhappy all the
always
time.
sour and unhappy, and he's won the Giro and he's won the Vuelta, and everyone reckons he's going to win the Tour de France. He's not going to win the Tour de France. But a man who always thought who would win the Tour de France...
And I reckon he's a pretty good chance this year if things go his way. Alejandro Valverde
has said he's only going to do the job for his teammate Quintana.
It's like the board saying you've got full support of the board, and we're backing the coach.
It's like BMC saying we're just here to ride for Richie. However, Greg Van Avermaet's got his own agenda and he's allowed to go and win stages.
Possibly, so look,
it's going to be a good one. But I reckon Aru, he's definitely on some form. Got something to ride for.
Lightly raced this year because of a couple of injuries, but came into the Dauphiné, raced aggressively, probably just didn't quite have enough, but came out, won the Italian title in riding away from some pretty good riders.
Yep. And of course, the Australian interest, other than Richie, Michael Matthews. Can he win the green jersey against Peter Sagan? No. No, he can't.
He can take it. He will. I reckon he'll win a stage, but he will not win the green jersey.
I'd love to see Michael Matthews win 2 or 3 stages because he's a bit more of a rouleur. But anywhere Michael Matthews goes, Peter Sagan's going to go. Peter Sagan's going for number 6 in a row.
Yeah, and I can tell you one thing about Michael Matthews. He has a pretty good record one-on-one in sprints against Peter Sagan.
Oh, he certainly
does.
2 from 2. He certainly does, but so does Greg Van Avermaet, and we're not even talking about Van Avermaet for the green jersey.
He's doing the job for Richie.
That's what they're telling us. Somebody I would like to see win a stage, Adam Hansen, riding for Lotto.
Probably won't, but could.
He could, because, maybe Andre's not as fast as he used to be. They're going to support Andre to start with.
Guess who's back? Cav.
Who's back? Cav's back. Cav Renshaw.
Now, he doesn't, he's had Epstein-Barr syndrome. That's called chronic fatigue or, one of those sort of things. Could come, could go.
It's glandular
fever. He's got Mr. Renshaw there, leading him out.
Got Bernie there as well. They got the team. They got the boys with the experience.
But the question is, last year everyone questioned him and he came out, won 4 stages, did very well, but he had a really good prep on the track, had that leg speed. This year not quite so much, but he did win a stage at Tour of Slovenia just before.
Well, there you go. You just got to get a sprinter to the finish. Of course, the sprint team that's going to be lining it up from a long way out is Quick Step. They're going to be taking Marcel Kittel with everything they possibly can.
Lovely hair, hasn't he?
He does have, everyone's got lovely hair compared to me, mate. So
but almost as good as Doug Stewart's hair.
Doug Stewart's hair. No, I think Kittel wins. Yeah, Kittel wins that one.
Just.
But they're going to sit on Quick Step, aren't they? Everyone's going to follow Quick Step and say, you've got Kittel. It's quite clear he's the fastest man going around. Now, if Quick Step don't get it right, which is very unlikely the way they go on the flat roads, you might see people like Dimension Data with Isol Renshaw taking Cavendish into the right spot. Benefit from that. I think you'll see Greipel in the first couple of stages doing everything he can to get his half wheel across the line first.
One thing about the Gorilla, every Grand Tour he's ridden, he's won a stage.
Yes, he's not greedy. Just give me one.
Just one. One will do me.
One will do me.
One gets me paid. He goes, cha-ching.
A lot going on in cycling, and we've got to say a very big world. We're going to keep updating you on the Tour de France for the next 3 weeks. You're going to get sick of watching it. You're going to get sick of us talking about it. We'll make predictions that will be wrong,
and some will be right.
And we'll actually talk about things we've seen on telly the night before on the next couple of shows that we'll have gotten wrong as well. So you'll be writing into us saying, no, he didn't win that stage.
Based on the reports and the writings we've got this week, no one will write into us. Not one.
No one wrote to us this week.
Yeah, a bit disappointing. Matt won at IINet.
No, you're wrong. Somebody did write to us, and they won a pair of socks this week. Our first female winner.
Who was that? I didn't get that email.
Anne Meany wrote a very nice piece to us, not on email, but on our Facebook page.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So, Anne Meany, mother of Brendan, you have a pair of socks coming to you, and thank you very much for your kind words.
Anne Meany, when I am around seeing Brendan for a therapeutic massage later in the week, I'll drop those socks off to you.
Therapeutic.
Yes, no rub and tug, just therapeutic.
World Track Cycling Championships are coming up for our juniors, and Western Australia has 4 members in the team. I won't even look at the script. Tyler Lindorf, Jade Haynes, Matt Richardson and Kai Bonzo. That's how good I do my homework. Well done to the kids on representing Australia. Second time that Jade Haynes is going to the World Championships. Last year she won the Madison Championship and it wasn't hailed a world title. They gave her a prize and the Australian team kept the prize. So let's see if Jade can bring back the rainbow stripes this time.
Any of those looked after by Andrew Jackson?
Who?
I think his name's Andrew Jackson.
Cycle Talk Coaching?
Yeah,
why would you, like, Andrew Jackson, I've got to ask you this question. You can answer us any way you like, we don't care. Your name's Andrew Jackson. everyone knows you as AJ or Andrew Jackson. You have coached Rendell, Welsford, Lindorf, Nick and Jeffries.
It's almost an unending list.
There's
of
such a list.
Successes you've had.
So
with
what
the
would you
coaching
call
people.
your business? What's it called?
Cycle Talk, I think.
Cycle Talk. Why don't you call it AJ Coaching or Andrew Jackson Coaching?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he wants to franchise it later down the track.
I said something about coaching the other week. The only reason I didn't mention Andrew Jackson's coaching business, I didn't know what it was called. Cycle Talk Coaching.
He's pretty good behind on a motorbike. Well, if you need to go motor pacing,
Very
he
good windbreak.
will give you. He's a big unit. You do get a windbreak, but he does take pleasure in hurting you. So
He's the only bloke who can out-eat me for pies.
well, I reckon I'd love to watch that competition.
That'd be a good contest.
The pie manufacturers would like that one too. I
No,
think.
because we want them donated.
No, it wouldn't be donated, mate. We'd have to pay for it.
West Coast Masters at the weekend at Herne Hill with some great racing. It was quite windy. Matt Tognini raced. Adam Scott raced. I didn't.
He watched.
Michael Tapscott won A grade. He went off the front, smashed him. World champion Sam Smith had to run second.
And I can tell you, he's good for a sneaky win like that. Tappy,
He likes a bit of a
that's
dig.
how he gets it. You know, he knows he may not win it in a sprint, so he takes the opportunity.
May not win.
No, won't win.
More chance of growing hair.
He takes the opportunity and he takes it often. Jumps off the front, throws the hands, except at West Coast Masters because you get disqualified.
Get disqualified. Yeah.
Will mention Bob Addy once again. Told everyone on the line at the West Coast Masters, if you go on the right-hand side of the road, you're going to get disqualified.
He disqualified somebody. We won't mention who it was.
Words were exchanged, apologies were made, everyone's forgiven. Remember,
Don't argue with a referee.
yeah, absolutely. And just for us guys to close off, just shout out to our mate in Belgium, Dirk Schmetz, hit by a car,
Dirk.
4 or 5 broken ribs, punctured lung. He's going to live. Broke his bike, broke his F8. The only upside to this, he says, is
it was a Rafa hate crime.
it was a Rafa hate
It was a
crime.
Rafa
Because no
hate
one
crime.
loves
No one likes
Rafa
Rafa.
more than Dirk.
But Dirk loves it.
The only upside to this for Dirk, and it's not much of an upside, is he's probably going to get a free F10 upgrade. But you keep your F8, not a broken
Might
ribs.
buy a real bike instead.
A Focus.
Focus.
Eddie Merckx. Giant.
Giant. Get off that F10.
Get off that F10. Get off that overpriced.
Where was the F9? That's what I want to know. Where was the F9?
Yeah, they got overlooked. Anyway, ladies and
Made an
gentlemen.
F9, you just sold them in Thailand and Asia and all around there because 9's the lucky number. Bad move, Pinarello.
No, 8's your lucky number, isn't it? Two
And
fat
9.
people? Two fat men?
Two.
Yeah, sitting on top of each other.
The 9
Anywho,
is as well, natural 9.
ladies and gentlemen, that's us for this week. Anything you want to say to us, matt1@ionet.net.au. We'll be here again next week talking to you about the tour and anything else that comes up. Cyclocross this weekend at Edgewater. Come and laugh at me. I'm riding men's Masters C grade, and I don't think I'll finish first. Let's put it that way.
Did we mention Michael Freiberg won a race?
Oh, he did. Freebie won a race in Belgium. It was only a 90k Camise.
We already
No one-
mentioned it, I just thought I'd throw it in again.
No one really cares.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We got to go to in the water for that here in the we got